The question number 19 is to graph and analyze cube root functions. It's not only cube root, there is square root as well. Now here they have given a graph already. The graph is given q of x. This is q of x graph shown, and examine this particular graph. Now you don't need to do accurate stuff, but how exactly do you graph this? You know, this is a square root. If you have the basic knowledge of square root, it's always going to go up like this. But you can see this minus 3, so it's going to go down. So basic things. And now since it's x plus 2, here now if this is the x-axis, plus 2 means it will go left side by 2 units over here. And this minus 3 will change its amplitude. Now then, but exact graph, if you want, you can easily do it in calculator from the table. You'll get the values and then graph it up. So since it's writing, I would highly suggest that, because you'll get a table, just copy the values and you will get the graph. But how would you start? The first is the starting point, because square root has a particular domain. It's not all x values. Now you must look what is inside the square root. X plus 2 must always be greater than and equal to 0. It's not only greater than, x plus 2 greater than 0, wrong. It must be greater than or equal to, because in square root even this value is included. Okay, 0 is also included. I mean, inside square root you can even put 0, you will get an answer. You can test it. So what happens over here? X greater than or equal to 2, take this 2 to the greater than or equal to, instead of 0, take this plus 2 to the other side, will be minus 2. So any values from minus 2 to greater value is possible over here. So this is the concept. Now here what we can do is simply just you take a calculator and I'll show you how to solve. So what you do is mod table is 7, and now this function, put this function as it is, minus 3 square root alpha x plus 2, and g of x is not this, so ignore that. And starting where, it should start at minus 2. This is very important. That's the reason why we are doing this. Okay, starts at minus 2. Let's take a value, say n phi. Okay, it's fine. Let's take one step. That means all values from minus 2 minus 1 will be there. If you put step of 0.5, you will get minus 2, minus 1.5, 0.5, all those, every 0.5 interval. Now you got a table, right? For writing exam, you can just draw this table quickly. X, f of x, or p of x over here. Substitute the values of x, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look over here. These are the x values. These are the y values, sorry. Now here, the table of values. 0, 3, negative 4.24. All the same values we have got. But we have got more over here. And now with this, you can easily graph, isn't it? Now what you do? You have to graph it. How do you graph it? Basically, you start from minus 2. Minus 2 will be 0. If you put minus 2 here, it will be 0. And next, minus 1 is how much? Minus 3. Minus 1 will be minus 3. That's the amplitude over here. And then it keeps on going. Just a rough curve. This is it. Now, that is the first part. This is it. But you need to compare as well. Now, what do you have to compare is these features. I'll tell you a few of the features. Let's see both the graphs together and I'll tell you now. What is the domain? Domain for square root function or any positive 2, 4, 6, 8 is whatever you solve over here. Whatever is inside that must be greater than or equal to 0. Then you get the domain. So here the domain is all possible values greater than or equal to minus 2. That means minus 2 is included, comma, positive infinity. This is the domain. What is the range? Range is all possible. Since it's minus, it is all possible values, all negative real numbers. That is from 0, 0 is included, till minus infinity. This is the range. This is small bracket. Infinity is always by small bracket. Big bracket means this value is included. If it is only greater than 2, then we use small bracket for 2. That's not included. That's the thing. Now then, what do we do? Here, this is big bracket. Domain is done, range is done. This is for square root, okay? This one. Now over here we have the graph already for cube root, right? Cube root, it's so easy. The domain and range is all real numbers. All real numbers means it's always from minus infinity to infinity. You don't have to worry anything. Domain keeps on going, range also it keeps on extending. So that's the domain and range. What else you can check? You can see the intercept. What is the x-intercept here? X-intercept is -2. What is x-intercept here? +2. What is y-intercept? -3. Y-intercept is -3. Here it is somewhat -1.2 or something like that. Okay, not accurate. And what else can you do? What is the end behaviors? Here, as x tends to minus infinity, this is minus infinity, right? As n takes to minus infinity, this will go towards, where is it going? It goes like this. It'll keep on going downwards, okay? The y value will be down, minus infinity itself. That's the thing. As x, see, I'll write it properly. As x tends to minus infinity, what is y value? Y value, it's downwards, so it is also minus infinity. As this positive x tends to positive infinity, y is also positive infinity. What about this? Here, end behavior, as x tends to minus infinity and x tends to positive infinity. Let's do positive infinity first. Y value will be negative infinity itself. What about this? As it goes to negative infinity, the y value is 0. Here it stops, isn't it? So it is 0. So this is the concept here. And so let's just keep going over here. This is about it. Oh, what is happening? Decreasing or increasing? We saw that square root is decreasing, whereas this one is increasing. It's going upwards. So that's it. Then positive and negative over here, you can tell which parts is negative. Whenever x values are less than 2, it's negative. Greater than 2 is positive. Over here, whatever is greater than -2 is only negative. There is only negative part of this square root function. So these are some comparison. It's a very straightforward comparison. Nothing much in this. Same way over here, but I'll just tell you what is this equation. They have not given the equation, right? P of x, which is 2 less than the cube root function. Okay, what is cube root function? X, this, but 2 less than -2. Okay, this is the graph. Once, let's just check the answer. Yeah, that's the equation. Now you need to graph this one because the square root function is given. Same thing, you can just put this in calculator and graph, but here you can put any domain, anything. So put some values. This is just y, it just shifts, that doesn't matter. Put some values from -5 to +5, I guess, or over here -2 to +2. That's also fine. You will get something like this. Here -2 means the shifts downwards, okay? But you will directly get this table from the calculator and put it. Now you're telling the same thing. Domain is all real numbers. Over here it's only positive real numbers. Range and everything you have to just tell over here, okay? See this comparison, same thing. Same concept, same things. Here also it's the same concept. Over here you just have to graph this. Now both are square root functions. Here one is going to the right, one is going to the left. Doesn't matter, cube root, square root, whichever, you have to just compare them now. These are both root functions only, but it's square root. Because only square root will be starting from some point. There will be a restricted domain. Whereas cube root will have infinity to infinity, minus infinity to plus infinity. And compare the domain and range, just like what we had done a while ago. That's the end of this topic. Please be thorough with the domain and range. Try to use calculator table method. Write the table, then graph it, and then compare it easily.